Hello everyone and welcome to another exciting episode of Straight Talk. We are your Straight Talkers. My name is Hafiz and I have never eaten a brinjal, ladyfinger or an avocado in my life, ever.
Hi, my name is Edmund. Many people have been asking me how old am I. So this time around, I'm telling you the truth.
Okay.
I am 46. Don't judge.
Okay, I never judge.
Hi everyone, I'm Wei Liang. I'm going to be a dad next week.
Oh!
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you, I'm very excited. So,
Burger.
boy.
Wow, nice.
Okay. We want to start off every episode with a Buay Song issue. So recently they have these single room shared facilities, right? It's going to be implemented where they are targeting the lower income singles, okay? And you can be widowed or you can be single as long as you are 35. But even if you are much younger, above 21, you can still apply. But that's not the main concern. The main concern is, have you all seen the interior?
Yeah, it looks damn bad.
I saw the picture.
It's very Tekong vibes. Each level, they will have about 24 people. And then they have 3 bathrooms. If you are single, would you want to go and live in that space?
If I can afford it, no. Yeah.
No TV, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
no TV,
I
You have to buy your own
can't.
TV.
The shared one, is it? Shared TV. Like
There's a
last time
common
the-
room. There's a common room. There's a common room.
Oh.
Yeah.
Then
Would
you
you?
cannot choose your channel.
Cannot lah.
Like what you say, if I can afford it, I choose not to. See?
But again, I don't think it was meant to be made for those who can afford a
Correct.
more luxurious lifestyle.
That's true. I mean, it is targeted for the lower income.
Yeah.
But then again, we will have this discussion. How do you determine what is lower income?
To me,
Uh,
the government say I low income. They
Yeah lah,
said,
but-
they said I'm middle lah.
how do they calculate whether you are low income or middle income or high income?
Usually it's by your CPF contribution.
But what about those dispatch rider, food delivery? No CPF one mah?
Correct. Or freelancers.
Freelancers? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Because-
guess
yeah.
like with all schemes in Singapore, it's up to you to apply and up for them to process
decide.
case by case.
true.
So if truly one is needy, I think there'll be no problems in getting it lah.
True. But I wouldn't lah.
So
Maybe
yeah
like
lah.
you
So
complete
you
lah.
see,
And
so beggars
Yeah,
can't be
24.
choosers.
I
you
cannot
see.
lah. I cannot. In the morning, I need my alone time at least 45 minutes in the toilet.
Wow, cannot.
Then you'll
Cannot
be
lah.
the most hated resident.
I don't think it's possible.
Okay.
Yes.
Father of 3
Yeah,
who love all your 3 kids
Yes.
unconditionally. What's your Buay Song issue?
Okay,
Brother.
I actually saw this article and it was from leader of opposition. He actually mentioned that to set English proficiency tests for those who are going to become citizens.
Applying to be new citizens.
Yes, applying to become.
So the prerequisite?
Yeah, is to have good English.
I think it has to be more than English. It has to be understanding Singapore's culture as well.
I think the understanding the culture is more important than language.
True.
So on language, why only English? Why not Chinese?
Yeah.
Why not
Or Malay?
Malayu? Yeah.
Also, I feel like language is unfortunately has become one of the a way of someone to assert their classist and elitist behavior towards other people.
Yes.
Like just because you cannot
elitist.
speak English means you're not smart. You know, like
Yep.
I sound smarter in Malay.
Do you?
Is it?
Maybe I don't know.
Okay.
I have to ask my Malay friends.
So in the nutshell, he actually want language to be a criteria so that
The main criteria.
the main criteria so that the new citizen can integrate into our society. Again, if today we were to go to coffee shop, you see a lot of uncles sitting together.
True.
I dare to say they don't really know English,
Yeah. I don't think they're speaking English too.
and they are integrating very well.
So my main question now is, right? Having said that, what would be a good test that they have to go through?
Name 10 Singaporean food.
Or they have to do a mock test where they have to bargain.
$10 become 5, 5 become
Yeah.
12.
Or we have to test their queuing skills.
Queuing skills.
Yeah. So they have to stand in a queue for 1 hour. If they can make
I
it,
know.
so they straight away can become citizen.
Stand, queue, and then complain.
No, bargain first.
Then complain.
And then ask
Bargain.
to talk to the manager, then complain. Then must write a letter also. Then must see whether they got tag all the different ministries or SPF or whoever in the comment section of their social media.
Oh,
If they can do it, okay, Singaporean.
it will
Yeah,
work.
very Singaporean.
I don't
Tag.
know. Some people get their way by tagging,
I think that is so much better than just using language or,
True.
or English.
Yeah.
Look at me, I Chinese helicopter.
What is Chinese helicopter?
Chinese helicopter means I'm better in my Chinese. So because I Chinese helicopter, you get all those good with English one to come in,
Yeah.
then I become what? Second citizen.
But your English not bad. What?
Yeah, what?
But if you were to get all those good one, I can speak proper English one, or maybe from US. So then I become second citizen. No. Then my parents how? My parents also
Worse.
don't know English. No.
Yeah. And I do think, again, like I said, imposing that English proficiency test is really quite elitist.
So now that you are going to have your first kid, are you going to encourage him to go into sports?
Yes,
in
I
Singapore?
will. Yes,
Oh,
I
in
will.
Singapore.
And I'll try to support my kid in whatever he wants. Lah.
Okay.
Could be an artist.
Yeah,
Yeah. Could be a singer, artist.
YouTuber.
Also can.
can.
YouTubers
Husband
earn a
make
lot,
money,
okay?
eh.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes. If your child one day tell you, I want to become a politician.
Go ahead.
Why? Okay, why? Why cannot become YouTuber but can become politician?
Good money like politician. Not bad. Seriously.
Actually, it's not bad. It's like really damn good.
If you ask Wei Liang, the kids were to ask you, should I choose to be a politician or a soccer player?
Soccer player.
Soccer player lah, of course.
Cannot be lah.
No. My son's mental well-being is much more important than money. Later you go in public, people will shout, "Oi, not doing your job ah." Okay, talking about this, okay, we might have like different thinking and we will argue with one another about certain topics. But what is very interesting is to note that when the arguments happen during parliament, right? Like these politicians, these highly paid politicians who are supposedly good at their job or have to be good at their job, when they start arguing with one another. I mean, it's good fodder and it's good. I mean, it's good television lah if you watch the parliamentary screenings. But why do you think they always argue with one another?
If not for the good like 6 or 8 hours, nobody argue, then everybody just stand up and talk, then who want to watch?
Actually, that's true lah.
There's no excitement. What?
Do you all see it as arguing? I see it as a very, very nice, polite debate.
As compared to politicians from other countries, okay, we are very mild. The other countries will throw chair, will punch, will throw feces one.
Feces?
Yes, it's all on camera. Yes.
Got Taiwan got throw chair,
That one
Throw
I've
chair,
seen.
yeah,
Throwing
yeah.
punches.
Throw
yeah.
punch.
throw
Yeah.
the pig intestine.
I've seen in some.
Huh? Really? Ah?
What?
Ayo.
I've seen in some Western countries they actually make personal jokes,
Yes.
and then the whole house laughs along.
or like go boo, or like that's just
Yeah, it's
really
quite
like
wild.
monkeys lah.
Nicely.
You like ah?
Nice.
Actually, I like No need to go far lah. Just look somewhere nearby lah. They love to shout and scream for no reason, and they love to like hijack the microphone. No other one. So like then the speaker of the house, right? Like will like keep on saying like, for example, pematang pao senyap, pematang pao senyap. Kalau awak tak senyap, saya suruh awak keluar. Like be quiet. Because if not, if you don't keep quiet, I'm gonna ask you to leave. And the fella just
Nobody
keep
care
on
one
going.
Ah,
Just keep on going.
Wait, what country was this?
What country?
across the causeway.
Across the causeway lah.
Oh.
Where we get our water from.
Okay, so Singapore politics is quite mild.
Quite mild. But that's not the point. The point is we want to invite someone, okay, who I think is the best person to talk about these debates because he's always like front row seat.
Front row one.
Front row seat.
Who?
Minister of Education, Minister Chan Chun Sing. Round of applause. Wow. Warm welcome, even by production. Okay, Minister. We started off just now by talking about Buay-Song issues. Okay, so we just wanted to know your thoughts about it lah. Okay, what was your Buay-Song issue?
You have this leader of opposition actually raised this issue on new citizens must have good proficiency in their English
Okay.
before they can turn into citizen.
Right.
So I think it is not very right because why are we judging their whether they can be citizen or not based on their language? Look at me, I Chinese helicopter. Then where I stand, I become second class.
At the
Or-
helipad.
Yeah, because if they were to keep inviting all those foreigners with good English background, then how? My parents how?
Sounds like my mother also asked this question. Because my mother never finished primary 6. So my mother also don't understand English.
Similar like me lah, we stop at this please stop learning English category.
Please stop learning English.
PSLE.
I think your English better, much better than my mine.
Good.
So I think the issue is that yes, English is our business language, but we have four official
other official
languages.
languages.
And whether one person is loyal to the country, can integrate to the country, I think goes beyond just language. Of course, language is one factor, but
Yes.
beyond that, I think we need to consider many other factors as well. No, even if all of us learn language, like what was said, it doesn't mean that we all speak the same type of English or at the same standard or the same level, right?
Yeah, in fact, we speak Singlish. I think
But it's quite common. I mean, I have people who told me that, hey, your English, your twang cannot make it. You speak like a Chinese man trying to speak English.
It's okay, what?
Yeah, it's
But there are some people like that. There are some people who will tell you
just
that,
irritate. It's like if you speak like a local, you're not sophisticated enough, you know. And if you speak really well, you're out of touch. So like, you know, damn if you do and damn if you don't, right? What is the current prerequisite to be a citizen of Singapore? Do you know the answer to this question?
Well, today there are quite a few criteria. The typical new citizen would have become a PR for a number of years, then they will work here for a number of years, then they would have gone through some integration program before they apply for the.
Which brings me to this question.
integration.
What integration program is this? What do you have to go through? Because we were saying like, maybe we should get them to stand in a queue for like 1 hour, see if they can make it. If they can make it, they confirm Singaporean.
And then
once you are there, complain, bargain.
see them whether they kiasu enough or not.
Yes.
Kiasu enough, okay.
So what is
50%.
this integration program? I'm really dying to know.
Today, actually, it's quite basic. I think there's some introduction to the history, the social cultural norms, but whether people can actually practice this and whether people can really mix with one another, it's more important whether that person is trying to integrate and that effort counts. Right?
Right.
I mean, if you look at it like at least my parents' generation, I think all of us were foreigners, right? In 1965, right? There was
We were immigrants lah.
we were all immigrants, right? So, but everybody tries in their own different way to contribute something to society and try to get along with one another, really regardless of race, language, and religion. So I think that's what makes us special.
Do they have to recite the pledge? I have to, right?
I have to.
And sing Majulah Singapura.
Yes.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
all the naturalized athletes, all know how to sing Majulah Singapura.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
I think it's not just learning how to say the pledge and Majulah Singapura, right?
Yeah.
But it's really to understand some of the deeper ideals that we stand for. You know, like for example, we do things in Singapore in quite a different way, right? So, like for example, you don't jump the queue or you don't go and pay money under the table to get things done and whatnot. But these are some of the more important social norms that we abide by. It might be different from people who come from other countries, but if they can progressively understand how we do things and why we do what we do, then I think they can become just like any other Singaporeans in time to come.
Okay, so we go on to the last Buay Song issue. So we were just talking about the single room shared facilities where they were targeting the lower income singles, right? And then we just saw the photo and we're like, very Tekong vibes, very like School 2, Rocky Hill, CISPAC.
No lah, you don't say like that lah.
As a former chief of army, do you agree with that
I think Rocky Hill looks quite nice. Maybe even nicer than.
Maybe now lah. But no, really like okay. So my friends and I were just looking at it. We're like, is this really how they think we singles should live? Number one, and number two is like we were just comparing it with like a jail in a Scandinavian country, which is like so much nicer, bigger, IKEA furniture.
Personal toilet.
Yet have to share toilet.
Yeah.
Would you?
Actually, I think many people have different needs and different people have different budgets as well. So I think for us, it's not to be prescriptive on what kind of things that people want to have or need to have, but is to give people a range of choices. If there's no demand for this because the market doesn't have demand for this, then they will just move on and go and do some other projects. So actually, I'm agnostic about this thing. So my preference is that we have a range of options for different people with different needs at different stages of their life, and who knows what is the market demand, right?
We were talking about how dramatic it is, the parliamentary sessions in other countries. Like they throw like feces, they throw chair, they punch each other, they scream at one another. But in Singapore, it's quite mild, right? But even so, within the mildness of these exchanges, it can get very frustrating to watch because some people don't understand. As in like they don't understand when you don't want to answer or cannot answer or don't have the answers to the question, right? But they go on pushing it. So my first question to you is, have you ever been in a position where you're doing a parliamentary session and you really cannot take it? You're like, I cannot take it anymore. and you really just say, okay, no answer, and then you just sit down. Have it ever happened to you?
I don't think we say no answer and then sit down and just ignore the question. I think you always try your best to answer, but you always try to understand why is the person asking that question? What is the real reason that he or she may be asking that question? And
What
then
is
try
the
to,
point behind the question?
and then address it, right? But if you ask people, what's your point behind the question? People say, wow, you're so rude. But then you see, you don't want to waste people's time. It's like, why don't we get to the bottom of it and
True.
let's be upfront? Because what's the role of Parliament? It's really to help us make policies that are good for the people, good for the country, right? Because it reflects not just Parliament, because Parliament is also a reflection of the kind of people that we are, the kind of country that we are, you see. Because if, imagine if, let's say, our Parliament end up like some other parliaments where people are fighting or just creating entertainment, then I'm not sure people respect us very much, you know. People will think that we are just another one, so what distinguishes us from other people, right?
But has this like sort of opposing questions or opposing views been always a part of the parliament proceedings, or has it sort of become more, more intense in the last couple of years?
We all, regardless whether I think you are PAP or non-PAP, you want to hear all the ideas and to really see whether those ideas are better for the people, better for the country, and see how we can make the things better for our people, especially how to improve their lives, how to take care of them better, right? But if you have a diversity of purpose, then I think we are in trouble. Diversity of purpose meaning this: some people are there because they are trying to debate policies on how can make the policies better, but some people are there maybe to just attract attention, to try and gather votes. That's what I mean by the diversity of purpose rather than diversity of ideas, you see.
Okay. Do you feel like you can have more opposition in the future?
No, I think the question is not whether we have more or less opposition. The real question is that, are we happy with the quality of discussion or debate in Parliament? Whether is it from PAP members or is it from non-PAP members? Because as the government, we have to respond to the questions from both the PAP members and the opposition members. So both sides will ask questions to try and clarify or challenge the ideas that put forth by the government, right? So I know people don't really appreciate this, but within the PAP, there's a government, which is the cabinet that forms, that makes the policies, defend the policies. Then there are also the PAP backbenchers that have every right to go and challenge and ask why you make such policies. So if you ask me at this point in time, can we do better? I certainly hope that our parliament can do even better in terms of the quality of the questions that is being asked. Because once you are in parliament, I don't care whether you are PAP or non-PAP, you must have the same unity of purpose, which is that whatever is said must be leading to a better outcome for the people and the country. If it doesn't pass that test, then I think we are not there yet.
So you mentioned about the backbenchers having the freedom to question or to make forth their comments.
Right.
How often does this happen?
Oh, it happens very often. So if you look at the recent education debate I'm for the Committee of Supply. So we have a budget for the Ministry of Education, so people are free to propose their ideas. So you have PAP MP that stood up and said, hey, why don't you adopt this method of teaching, right? Then you have PAP MP say, hey, why must you do PSLE? So they can come and challenge us, and it's entirely legitimate. Then we will have to explain to them why, having thought through the issue, this may not be the best way forward, but we understand what's your intent, then how do we progress the issues forward. So I think both sides of the house have opportunities to do this. And really the test of a good backbencher, whether is it PAP or non-PAP, is whether you help to progress the ideas forward. And not just because you ask the most number of questions, because the quantity doesn't equal quality, right?
When you look at opposition, when they were to propose, you know they're going to kena already. Sure rejected.
Actually, I would say that it's both opposition and PAP side. Because you see, the government don't make policies just like that. How does the government come up with a policy? It has to work through the whole civil service, who has to go and talk to all the stakeholders, sometimes consult the relevant people. So it's a lot of due considerations. And after you have done all the considerations, right, if someone else come with another idea, right, supposing someone else come with an idea that you never hear before, then actually, and the government say, oh, that sounds like an idea that I've never thought before. Actually, will you be happy or sad if you are judging the government? Then you must be thinking, hey, hello, I expect you to consider all this, right? Then how come you, so obvious an idea you never consider? So that could be one aspect. Or the other idea, the other scenario is this. Someone come and say that, hey, I've got this idea. Like for example, hey, why don't you get rid of PSLE? Then it cannot be the MOE come and say that, wow, really? Never thought of this before. Then you must be thinking like, hey, MOE, what have you been doing all this while? On the other hand, if MOE has considered this and realized that, oh, there are some pluses, some minuses, then MOE cannot act blur and say that, oh, I don't know, let me go back and think some more. Actually, MOE should come out and say that, okay, we have considered this, these are the pros, these are the cons, and this is where we are now, so that if you've got another idea or other considerations, then we can progress the issue forward, right? But if we already considered the thing and we have reached a certain conclusion and you are not prepared to share those conclusions, not so much as you shoot down people's idea, then you are just wasting that person's time. Then you're just asking him that, oh, you go another round, go and think through again and things like that. Then we are wasting everybody's time, right? So that's why policy making is not just about coming up with an idea. Because in other countries, you see this very common. They say that, hey, I tell you, I hear this from this person, I hear that from that person. Why don't you do it? So it's true, because you hear from this, you hear from that. There's one set of considerations. But the biggest problem in any democracy is this. You don't take care of just this generation, right? You also have to take care of future generation, right? So how do you take care of future generation? Because you don't even have a chance to consult them, right?
Yep.
So if that's the case, then as the leaders, you must also exercise some responsibility and leadership to say that I'm thinking not just for this generation or next generation. So I'll give you an example, right? I mean, all of us are facing inflationary pressures now, right? So every one of us would like to see whether we can find more money to share and help people, right? Who doesn't want to do that, right? If we can all do that, we will surely do that, right? So if you say that, hey, I heard from you, I think the government should spend more to help this generation. I hear from you, the government must also spend more to help this generation. Then it sounds like a good idea, right?
Good idea.
We should do right. But then who's thinking for the next generation? Because the next generation may not even be born. The next generation haven't got a vote yet, in the sense that they won't even have the voice and never mind the vote, right? Then it's only responsible for the current government to say that, oh, I not only take care of the people in this generation, but I must also think the next generation, how would they perceive this and help us? So a very good example would be how we have built up our airports and ports, you see. See, once upon a time, our airport is quite near here, at Kallang there. Then we moved to Paya Lebar, then Paya Lebar, we moved to Changi. Then when the previous generation spent the money to do this, actually they spend their own money, to build the airport for us. But they could have done something else, right? If this airport is not going to benefit my generation, let the next generation go and build it. Anyway, they're going to use it, right? So let them go and pay for it. But you see, if you ask that last generation, they could easily say that, yeah, let the next generation go and pay for it, right? But then they took it upon themselves to say that, no. Even though times were tough during the times, 1970s we have oil crisis, 1980s we have stock market crash, 1990s we have Asian financial crisis. But they say that we also must take care of the future generation. So policy making is not just about asking people what they want here and now. It is also about thinking about the future, how we can take care, not just the current generation, but also the future generation. And sometimes I really don't like this word politician. Because in many countries, especially like in Indonesia, the word politician is politikus. Then they always make fun of the politician because tikus is rats, mouse. So they say that it's like scum of the earth. So they don't, because it's associated with people who are just power hungry, want to get a lot of privileges for themselves. But to me, I hope Singaporeans have less politician type of people, but more political leaders. Political leaders who are prepared to tell the people that, okay, this is what we need to consider, not just for this generation, but also for the next generation, and to share with people what are the difficult and hard decisions we need to take for the good of our country and people going forward, and not just trying to win votes, right? Because a lot of people associate politicians like, I just do what I need to win votes, right? But it's one thing to win votes for this generation. It's another thing to say that not only I win votes for this generation, but I balance it with how I take care of people going forward. I think that's what distinguishes us, and I hope we keep it that way, that we can continue for future governments to always have this thing that makes us different from other countries.
Okay.
So in fact, if we were to think for the future generation, then we should put more into a reserve, because the future generation will definitely be more difficult than the current generation.
That's our belief. So you see, one of the things that we say that our population is shrinking, right?
Yes.
So you can imagine in future, first, like what you say, times are a bit more uncertain. Then second is that we have fewer people supporting more elderly people.
Yep.
And we are likely to live longer, and chances are that our medical cost is likely to go
Higher.
because we live longer. So that's why for us, savings is a strategic reserve, not just to defend the currency for the current generation, but it is really a real reserve to help our next generation so we don't burden the next generation. Right? Can you imagine we don't do this, and imagine the last generation didn't do this. Actually, the last generation is a very good example. Today, our budget is about 100 billion. About 20% or slightly more, the money comes from the savings, the interest from the savings of previous generation. So every year we collect about 80 billion worth of taxes, but we spend 100 billion. The 20 billion or so came from the earnings from our previous generation. So this is how they, in the previous generation, have so-called save up for us to help us in this generation. Otherwise, now we will have to pay even more taxes. So I think it's only correct that we continue these kind of values to take care of the next generation, especially when we know now that the times are going to be more uncertain. There's going to be more aged people compared to working people. So that's only responsible.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how you rate yourself as a political leader?
Actually, I don't know. I would say kosong. You know why? There's another rule I always learn. People always ask me, can you give an interview, your 100-day progress? You know, these are Western media, right? Hey, now one year already, what do you think? How do you assess yourself? Frankly speaking, even when I was growing up, we were taught our benchmark of success in the public service is not how well we do or people do while they are in this generation. It's really how well people do the next generation. So I remember in MOE, when I first became MOE minister, before I became MOE minister, I went to ask my predecessors for advice. So one of them gave me this sagely advice. So he said, hey, Chan Chun Sing, you just remember, whatever good happened during your time in MOE, you must give thanks. Give thanks to your predecessors.
Okay.
Then, whatever
But the person
bad,
who's telling you is this one person lah,
one person, this one,
still alive.
of course, still in cabinet.
Yeah, I have to answer.
Okay.
Then, he said, whatever bad happened after your time, please quickly take responsibility. Because whatever we do
Okay.
in educating our children, you won't see the here and now. Your success definition is not now, right? It's really next time when they grow up, whether they can take care of themselves, they can contribute to society. So you think that's the kind of long-term work. So whenever people ask me, in fact, 2 days ago, I went to talk to some of the people, and they asked me, hey, are you happy or not? And my true answer is that, actually, at first I got no time to think whether happy or not. But really, whether we are happy or not depends in future whether there's still a Singapore that we are proud of. If by then we are okay, then okay, quite happy. It's just the last time when I was in the SAF, right? Then I have generations of NSF that comes and came to serve with me, right? The success is not whether they win best unit competition or not, right? The success is really after 20 years, when they grow up, they have their family, whether they feel that they are part of Singapore, whether they feel Singapore is worth defending. So, and whether they think that you have done a good job many years back, right? So I'm always not so keen about this thing, about this type of Western stuff. 100 days, what have you done? What have you achieved?
True.
It sounds a bit, how you say, a bit like an egomaniac, right? Everything happens only under your watch or his watch or her watch. In fact, I thought this is one of the things that LKY used to say. I don't know whether is it true that LKY say this, but when you are around and things happen, I'm not very impressed. When you're not around and things still happen, I'm impressed.
It's the legacy.
That means you have built
SOP,
a system, values, cultures that outlast you as a person, right? So I thought it's actually not bad, as a guiding post, so that we don't define success by how well we do for ourselves in this generation, but we define success by how well we enable the next generation to do even better than us in this generation. Easy to say, not so easy to achieve.
Of
right?
course, of course,
Yeah.
of course. And on that note, I want to ask my other two friends over here. Do you think you have what it takes to be a political leader?
I don't mind actually,
Oh,
but
you don't mind drink tea? Later I'll invite you.
okay, but first of all, I always thought like to be a ruling party political leader, one has to be squeaky clean. Like you have to be a star student. You cannot have any misdemeanors, so on and so forth. You
And that's
cannot
very true for you, because I'm just looking at your scholarships.
for minister.
Yeah. Top 4 GCE A level in 1987. President Scholarship and SAF Overseas Scholarship. And then he went on to get the Lee Kuan Yew Scholarship. Not bad, huh?
So anyway, so it's about wanting to do good, wanting to serve people, but there's always that dilemma of putting your private life under the spotlight of everyone. So for that alone, right, I'm not even sure if I'm willing to make
Let
this
go of that.
sacrifice.
Well, it's very true. I mean, so the way that we say it, a bit cliche is, do you love yourself more than you love your country? Right? But it's cliche, but you see people come forward and serve, then you can see whether their heart is at the right place. If it's about your own image, your own publicity, rather than the long-term things, it's quite tough. Because you will be made fun of, you will, people might mock you, people might criticize you. Then do you have the gumption to say that, okay, have the conviction to say that, okay, I believe this is what is right for the country, what is good for the people, and you will press on regardless of all the brickbats that people will throw you. I mean, come on, we are all humans, right? So if every day people scold you, people criticize you at every turn, then are you sure you want to do this, right?
We will get into the details of the criticism later on, but I'm very interested to know what Edmund has to say.
So I'm the one that said support.
Support at become.
Why?
Become
Must say why.
Why?
Why
First,
support?
pay good.
Okay.
Okay. Second, look good.
Look good.
Look
Look
good.
good,
People
Really,
all going towards you. Help me lah. Feel superior. Oh.
No, I don't know whether to tell you the truth. You see, from what you say,
Yeah.
on one hand, I'm very happy. That sounds like trying to help us to attract a lot of people to come and serve. Then we all can retire. But on the other hand, I also scared people come with the wrong idea. You say pay good, right?
Yeah, pay good.
Okay lah. If you like me, my pay looks okay lah. If you don't like me, you pay me $1 also too much already, right?
Agree?
Correct? Then you say that, oh, look good, right? Oh, it's like the duck, right? Swimming on the, paddling on the water, right? above the water.
On the
wow,
lake,
very
nice.
nice.
But then-
Then below the water, paddle like mad like that.
On that note, I don't think I have what it takes to be a political leader, because
You never know. You should come and try.
cannot. I'm a bad listener. Like, friends will tell me their problem, I will say, okay, after 30 seconds I switch off. And I know that a good political leader is someone who listens. So like, I cannot. Speaking about the highs and lows, right, of life and all that, I'm pretty sure as a person in position, right, you have stress, right? So I want to know, like, what are the immediate stress that you feel or like you experience on a daily basis doing your job? And number two, do you feel like after being a political leader, like a part of you has taken a back seat, like, you know, like you can't be your true self because you have to always maintain that, oh, you know, I have my stuff together.
Well, if you ask, what is the highest form of stress?
Yeah.
It's not the here and now, because no point stressing the here and now already, right? But it's always a bit future oriented, right? But that one, because you have no way to assess, no way to feedback. So just now we say, right, whatever we do, maybe a few years later, then we know the result. Then your question is not whether you stress like, hey, am I doing the correct thing or not? It's, hey, in a few years' time, whatever we do now, is it correct or not? So those are the longer term stress. But then there also sometimes, like during COVID, you got the here and now stress, right? Alamak, tomorrow, got enough vegetables or not? Got enough food for our people to go to the at the supermarket or not? So there are all kinds of things, but your stress tend not to be the personal stress, but it's more of like, how do you take care of the people? Are they well taken care of? So like now, right, then you have to start thinking about not whether tomorrow they all got food or not, because whether tomorrow got food, you probably have to settle a few weeks, a few months ago, right? You have to think, okay, now like hey, the economy is slowing down, so our people next time still got jobs or not? Every batch, got too many people come out from our university, polytechnic, ITE, where do they go and get jobs, right? If the prices of the energy continue to go up, our people okay or not? Whether they need more support. So there are things that you keep worrying about, but it's like someone jokingly told me, you are paid to worry, ma.
True.
So you say you all deserve it, you are paid to worry, so okay, we are paid to worry.
And with that question, do you guys think that is it too much or is it just enough?
Too much or too enough for what?
Stress.
No, your pay.
Oh, baby.
The way my mother asked me, tell me the answer is this, I don't care how much you are paid. Okay? Question is that whether you have enough time for your own children and your family.
But have or not?
So you must try to make
Yeah.
and budget your time accordingly. You cannot say that you just keep working, right, then neglect your family, right? But you also cannot say that, as if I got so this fixed time, got anything happen, I don't care because this is my time. So usually what you do is that if there's a crisis, it's something you need to handle, you need to work, then you go 100% and more. But you cannot every day like that, right? So you must also find some time to make sure that you take care of your family. Hey, by the way, you all don't make it sound like as if a politician got no life. Like that, nobody then nobody there to become political leaders. Then like that, how are we going to find successors?
So when was the last time you had some time to sit down and enjoy your me time?
So like yesterday night, finish work a bit earlier, then go out and have a simple meal with the family at Thomson Plaza also can, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I mean, you must make time because your children don't relate you to you as minister, right? You are the father, or
Correct.
or you are the husband, or you are the son. You are human being, right? It's not as if like just because you become a minister or office holder, then somehow you suddenly become a different creature, right?
I have this question for you because you started into politics since 2011. So at that time, there is no social media.
Have. Come out already, being made fun of by social media already. That's our first lesson in politics, man.
Handling the hate, HTH.
Then how do you handle that? Because along all these years, there are some mistake here and there. I mean,
Sure, every one of us have our mistake.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't even intend to be a mistake. People will say that why you.
I never say.
They said the cotton come from sheep, but I thought it's publicity, Just nice CCS.
Oh.
So just nice cotton
So
come
that
from
time, very simple, right? So you see something like that, right? You work until because that time you don't have enough masks. So we crack our head. How to not just to buy masks, how to go and get material to go and make our own masks, right? You think all kind of fiber also can. So you think there's suddenly a slip of tongue, then people make fun of you for life. Okay, you take it. But at the end of the day, you have to touch your heart and say that you try and do an honest day work, right? Then just now you talk about some people make fun of you. Some people make fun of you because they think it's funny. Some people make fun of you because they purposely want to make you feel bad.
They want a reaction.
They want
So
reaction.
you just have to ask yourself, okay, of course you try to improve, don't make the same mistake twice, but at the same time you have to be quite focused on your purpose, why you are here, and what are you trying to do for your country and your people. So my wife tend to encourage me and say this and caution me. I say that when people praise you, don't let it go into your head. When people criticize you, scold you, make fun of you, try not to let it get into your heart. The theory is correct. It's also easy to say that, but we are all humans, right? So if we are all humans, then we must also find ways to try to, encourage ourselves, even though people make fun of you, people mock you.
So for that incident where people mock you and make fun of you, is your family affected?
Of course, both of us are parents, right?
Yes.
Surely you don't bring up your child to be made fun of by other people, right? Especially when your child is trying his or her best.
Hamtam him.
Okay, this is why you're over
Steady,
here
okay,
and
okay,
seated over there.
Steady. Then, of course, if let's say your wife look at you, your wife also you're like, hey, he's trying his best. Then why you all?
True.
But I think for adults it's a bit easier. But for the kids, sometimes I feel bad because they are innocent, right? Supposing supposing you are in my position.
Yep.
Then your children go to school. Then they say, hey, why your father like that? Then the child, you know how the child will react, like, why you pick on me just because my father? I mean, we have these cases whereby the children will come and tell me, hey, Pa, just now that friend say, I don't like you, you know, because your father PAP. Then the child will be like, why you relate to
Yeah.
me?
And the friendship, yeah.
So what is then your answer to your child?
I mean, there's no good answer one, right? So
Yeah.
they, over the years, of course, as they grow up, they try their best to handle it and not let it affect them. But they are also human beings,
Ultimately, they're
right?
humans, yeah.
Because from their perspective, so just now you can talk about what pay you earn, right? To the children, it's very simple. Hey, Pa, why must you work so hard? You can come back a bit earlier now. Can give them back a bit of the pay, then we have a bit more family time. I mean, the children is very simple, right? So it's my mother say, you earn money, but you got time with your family or not? So I think you can only keep going if your family is with you. You can only keep going if you maintain your focus on your mission for the people and the country. So really, people ask me, hey, are you happy or not? I really tell them that I really don't know. Not that I never think about this, but you try to stay focused when the moments are tough, right? Because you never know. Sometimes it's touch and go. Like during COVID, you try your best, it's touch and go. We could have made the wrong decision and Singapore could be in a different place. But you try your best, and at the end of the day, it's like what my doctor told me, say that it's okay, that don't be too hard on yourself. If you think that you have done your best, let history be the judge.
So was that a proud father moment for you?
I suppose I'm touched that she has grown to become very understanding, notwithstanding the fact that she has to shoulder some of the brickbats, right? So in some sense, I think they also mature a bit faster than other people.
Okay, I got one more question. So in general, right, do you feel that you have made a sacrifice in order to serve Singapore?
I don't think we think of it from that perspective. There are certain things that drive us to be in government ever since young. Maybe because we were brought up in the military, in the government service. Whether we make a sacrifice or not, I think all of us make sacrifices whether we're in government or not in government. But the important thing is that what is our ultimate objective? I think for many of us is to see our children growing up well, our family having a chance to realize their dreams, and ultimately for Singapore to be around. So it's my mother right now, 84 years old. She sang 4 national anthems in her life.
4.
Right? British, Japanese, Malaya, and Singaporean. So I hope she will never need to sing a 5th national anthem, and I hope our children don't have to sing another national anthem. But you think about it, these are some of the things that perhaps keep us going.
Talking about Singapore, now I want you to watch something by Singaporeans.
Being an MP is difficult in Singapore?
I think it's extremely difficult.
Yes. Yes.
Well, you're supposed to represent the people, right? So you have to have the feeling, the right sentiment on the ground.
I think Singaporeans have a lot of demands and requests. So I think they have to kind of like cope with the expectations of the requests and all that lah. Do you think they are paid a lot?
I did mention earlier, if you look around, what happened in Singapore, the environment, whatever we have here, the security, everything, I think they deserve it. Spend more time with the people than with his family.
Based on your responsibilities. So I don't think they're overpaid.
Technically, they are all high performers. If they are in their own industry, let's say like as a lawyers or business operators or CEO, whatever, in their industry, they are all high paid as well. Of course, if they come into politics, then they should be paid the same because they are those high performers.
If given a choice, will you be an MP?
No.
No.
No, I think it's too stressful.
Now, of course, you have heard this many, many times, where you have to justify why you're being paid that amount, for the service that you do for the country. And of course, there's a lot of people who think that PAP leaders are out of touch, you get paid this X amount, you do not know the problems of the middle class and all that. If you have the chance to just explain it for the last time in your life, what would you do? Look at the camera and just tell them why.
Actually, very simple. When PM first asked me to come out and serve, right, I don't even remember discussing with him what is my pay. And it's just sounds like what I shared with you all, say that if you are happy with what we are doing, you don't mind saying that, okay, this is a fair pay or not a fair pay. But if you don't like what I'm doing, then even $1 is too much, right? So at the end of the day, I don't think the cabinet people are motivated by this pay issue.
Politicians in Singapore generally, when in comparison with politicians from other countries, we are really like on the high end. Like we really pay our politicians well.
Oh, I share with you this funny story. You know, in Singapore, we say we are paid very well, right? That's because we operate on a clean wage system, so you got no other benefits. Right? So it's not like in other countries, you can go and claim laundry, you can go and claim whatever things like. So this one you settle everything.
Clean. Whatever you earn is clean money.
Whatever you earn, you go and pay for it. Because some people may need a house, some people may need a car, but whatever you decide for yourself.
Okay.
So I remember once I was shopping at Thomson Plaza. Then
You really love to go to Thomson Plaza?
I stay near there. So I was pushing a trolley. This was way before COVID. So
Okay.
then you know, you buy your groceries, right? Then somebody walked past me. I was going down the travelator. Somebody was coming up the travelator. Say, "Hey, Minister, you need to buy toilet paper."
What kind of question is that?
No, but people are stupid.
No. People are not stupid. Don't say like
No,
that.
that's the reason why I cannot become an MP. I cannot do the MP session because people really don't.
So I was caught in that moment. I was like, I don't know how to answer because I don't know what was the reason behind the question.
Yeah.
So I was thinking like, how to answer? It's like, A, you think somebody buy it for me so that I don't have to buy myself.
I
B,
seriously think so, right?
so maybe you're the A lah. Maybe you're the A lah.
Someone is always doing
someone buying all these things for us. That means somebody everything provided for lah.
Must be.
So people are like, you must buy toilet paper one. Then B was like, maybe you don't need to use it or you have no time to use it. I also don't know.
Cannot miss that.
But I found it quite funny. I didn't know what to answer. So for
What was your
moment,
answer?
So I was like, yes. Then but I was like, then after that I kept thinking, you know, I was like, actually what was the
Right answer.
thinking behind the question, not my answer. It's actually quite funny one. We all don't have this kind of privileges, right? We operate a clean wage system. So another funny story, just for the fun of it. So last time, and this was before I became an office holder, and so we went to the airport to pick up the foreign guests. So so I offered the foreign guests. I said, "Hey, why don't you take my car? Then we all can chat along the way as you go to the hotel, lah." So he, "Okay, where's your car?" I said, "Oh, that's my car." Then he went to the car. Then he opened the back door. Then he jumped in and sat down, lah. Then I was like, "Oh, okay." So I went to the front. Then I opened the door. I went to the driver's seat, lah. Then he was like, "Hey, Chan, what are you doing?" I was like, "Must drive the car, ma." Right? Oh, sorry. Then he jumped out of the back door. Then he went to the front and sat beside me. Then I said, "Hey, Chan, where's the driver?" Then I was like, "Driver? I'm the driver, lah."
Yeah.
Then he was like, "Huh? You mean at your position, you don't have driver one?" Then we're like, "No leh, don't have. We all self-drive one, ma. And this is Singapore, ma." So, "Oh, sorry. Then we drove out of the airport. Then we came to the traffic light. Then we stopped. Then he was like, "Hey, why you stop?" I was like, "Traffic light, ma." Then he was like, "Hey."
He's not local, by the way.
He's not local. He's not local. So he's like, "Hey, but you so high position.
Yeah, can go man ma.
Can go one, ma."
The traffic light minimum must give you the favor.
Pematang pau, sila duduk.
Then I was like, "No lah, Singapore, ma." Then he says,
Singapore, ma.
then he look at you like, what are you scared of? There's no police, what? Then was like,
Oh, good.
then how to tell you like, Singapore don't need police, I got a lot of cameras lah. Then, but you see, people have different mental models of what officials, never mind politicians, what officials in Singapore are entitled or not entitled to have.
But I have this very, very serious question because just now you mentioned about Keon saying about whether there'll be a Singapore in future. But this technology seems to be quite outdated or out of touch. For the youngster, maybe for my daughter age 20
They won't think like
plus,
that one.
they cannot imagine that they won't be a Singapore.
Yes.
So to them, they totally cannot relate to whatever you are saying.
Yes.
So to them, PAP is a very outdated party, all from the same cloth, everybody the same. So to them, no excitement at all. So it's a bit hard if you want to use this type of tech line to get support from the youngster.
So you are right in the sense that, we generally live in quite a stable country, quite a successful country, and we don't have to worry about such things.
Yep.
And you are also right that if you keep telling the young people about such things, they might actually end up getting very put off by this, thinking like, why you not so confident or why you keep worrying about this. But that doesn't mean that we don't have to help our people understand some of the challenges that we may be facing and we will face. So it's not to scare them, but it's to be realistic about our chances. No, I give you an example, right? During COVID, right? People assume that we will just have food. But when we are in MTI, EDB, ESG, when we go and buy things during COVID, even you got money, people don't sell you things. That's the reality of life.
Yeah.
People ask you, you want me to sell you things? Do you have anything to exchange or not?
Money? More money?
No, money worth
Money,
nothing. already.
because in a
Oh.
crisis, you give money, maybe somebody will give more money and take your things away, or you give him money, he doesn't need it. He wanted maybe medicine or essential supplies in exchange. So if you're not producing anything of value, why should you expect people to sell us things that we need, whether it's food or essentials? But you see, it's very hard to tell people like that on a normal peacetime scenario, right?
Yeah.
But once in a while, I think we cannot forget that nobody owes us a living one, right?
And you cannot wait until a crisis happens for you to say it, because then it's too late already lah.
So that's why we say that we have to keep thinking about the future, because it's not whether I can buy things today, right, here and now, because now looks like quite peaceful time, so we can get what we want. But that doesn't mean that it will always be so one. So that's why even COVID was a very good learning moment for many people, right? That it doesn't mean that you have money, then people must sell you things, or people give you things that you need or you want, right?
Because chicken was stopped, right?
Yeah.
Chicken was stopped, and then we had a shortage of eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And many other things, you see.
Yeah.
So when suddenly the borders were closed, suddenly the supply chain got disrupted, the ships were not sailing, the planes were not flying. So that time, you have to figure out ways, not just to find out who else can you buy from, but why would that person sell you? I know the real story. I call up my partners overseas. I say, hey, can sell me some rice or not? I said, hey, you got surplus rice, right? You also sitting in a warehouse, right? They said, no, cannot sell you. Then I said, I pay you a bit more.
Yeah.
They said, no, I'm not going to sell you. Then I said, why? If you don't sell me, the rice may rot inside your warehouse. What?
Yeah.
They says, no, I cannot sell you. Because if I sell you and I export the thing now, my people may panic. And if my people panic, I'm in trouble. But if the thing rot inside my warehouse, it's okay. My people don't give me trouble and I'm okay. So you begin to understand, to even buy something as simple as rice, not so simple just because we have money, therefore people will sell us things. So these are things that, like you say, you cannot keep saying this type of thing without context. But sometimes when things happen, then it's a learning moment for all of us, not just the MTI team, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise we take it for granted that things will always be so, right? Like when we went to ask people to sell us vaccines or say, why don't you come to Singapore to produce a vaccine, right? I mean, the truth of the matter is that people say, one must go to Singapore and produce vaccine.
Yep.
What are you going to offer me? Are you going to give me some subsidy? Are you going to offer me cheaper land? Are you going to offer me a domestic market that is big enough to take my capacity? What are you going to offer me? So these are difficult questions that we have to grapple with
I think the average day-to-day Singaporean don't really understand or don't really get to see this behind the scenes.
But there are many Singaporeans working behind the scene, making this thing happen. So I remember during COVID, for us, and many of my team in MTI, EDB, ESG, SIA, PIL, SETS, all these logistic company. Actually, it's very emotional for us when we walk down an NTUC aisle. You know, you go NTUC, you go down, walk down one aisle, and you see all the shelves full. And if you do an experiment to take out the item and just note down which country they come from, any aisle, definitely 10, 20, 30, if not more countries' products are there. For just a simple thing like that, it's a lot of hard work by many Singaporeans all overseas. Sometimes putting their lives online to secure us what we consider as basic necessity. So maybe for some of us who have gone through this, I don't think we take it for granted that you will always be so.
That is why Minister is right. They are not politicians. Because if you are a politician, you will have politicized this. And it's a very big thing.
I always try to say to the younger kids that I work with or the younger generation, go travel, and then you'll realize how good we have it at home.
But coming back to what you mentioned, you cannot go around every day and tell people, hey, I tell you, life is very tough, and in order to happen, all these things must happen. You cannot say this. Because the younger generation, I think they need something different to inspire them. Last time, maybe the older generation is inspired by fear and hunger. If you don't do this, we might not survive, But I think you must also appeal to the younger generation with a more forward-looking agenda, that with all the blessings that they have, they can do something more. And I think our young people want to do something more, do something different, beyond just trying to survive. And they have the capability and the capacity to do more. So a lot of them today do what I call the mad cow thing, make a difference, change our world. They have a big aspirations on, They want to do something bigger than just what it is for themselves. This one is taught to me by Lim Swee Seh.
Okay. Okay. As a copyright, not from me.
Oh, that's nice.
Going back to what you were saying about how you made a career shift, right, from being the Chief of Army to going to office and all that. And as we see in the minister's portfolio, every 2-3 years, you'll move to another role. So that's my first question to you. Like, do you find it difficult to always keep changing roles? Because I know for yourself, you've done
MSF
a lot of
MPI
correct.
MOE lah.
And number two, do you think it's a healthy sort of system to have? To always keep on changing the portfolios?
I think it's healthy because you want to make sure that you are not blindsided. Because if you are in the same job for too long, you may have your blind spots. Right? We all do have our blind spots.
Okay.
So to have different people with different perspective is not necessarily a bad thing. But of course, you can't keep changing for the sake of changing, right?
Yeah.
And this is where that balance has to come in, because there are people that change across different ministries, whether it's the office holders or others. Then there are also people that stay in the same ministry for quite a long while, and these are the deep professionals. And you must have a healthy respect. So for example, in MOE, there are people from the political wing, what we call the office holders, people from the policy wing. These people may move across different ministries, and that helps MOE to link up with other ministries and do the work better. But there's also our professional wing, our teachers, educators, who are very steeped in the art and science of teaching. And you must have a healthy respect of what they know and what they are doing. Then you can find the balance. So yes, on one hand, you have some people moving around to have the cross-pollination of ideas, but you must also, in every agency and ministry, also have the deep professionals who are there. But there are also similarities even as you move around. The content matter may be different, whether is it transport, housing, or education, because the subject matter is different.
Yeah.
But as a leader, there are some things that are constant. First, you must be able to bring out the best from your team. No leader ever go into any ministry and say, hey, let me tell you what to do. I tell you this is the way forward. You have no credibility. But a good leader will adapt to the ministry that they are leading and try to bring everyone together and bring out the best. And that is something that is similar across all the ministries, right? The second thing that is similar regardless of which ministry you go to or I go to, you must take care of your people. We learn this from young. You take care of the people will take care of the mission. So this is invariant, regardless of what job you are doing, which ministry you are. So I think there are some of these leadership lessons that are common regardless of the ministry or agency that you are leading and regardless of your background. Right? A good leader is not someone who say that I'm here and you all adapt to my style. Actually, a good leader is say that I'm here to see how I can bring out the best in how I support you so that we can achieve the mission together. And even one day when I'm not around, because you are inspired by what we want to achieve collectively, you will carry on the mission even if any one person is no longer around. So I think there are challenges in moving across different ministries, but there are also some similarities in the way we approach the leadership responsibilities in every ministry.
But have you ever felt like overwhelmed by like being in a new ministry? Like, oh, I have to know about all these things.
Every ministry, when you first go in, there'll be so many things that you don't
How
know.
long do you take before you get acclimatized to like, oh, okay, I'm getting to the groove of it?
You will never come to a position whereby you say that, oh, okay, I know it all. If you ever get into that complacent situation that I know it all already, then it's probably time for you to leave.
Okay.
But how long you take actually depends on the issue and depends on your teamwork. I never believe that just because I go into a new ministry, then suddenly everything stops and then we restart again. In fact, a lot of the good work that they are doing will continue to be done. Of course, as a leader, you add color to it, you contribute and you try to take them forward in a better way. But you cannot imagine that it's only the minister who will make all the decisions, because there is a whole team of public service officers, professionals who have been there very long, and they have deep beliefs of what needs to be done, regardless of who is the leader necessarily.
But during COVID, when you look at it, when you set up this MSTF,
MTF.
Oh, MTF.
Yes.
MTF. None of you are doctor.
Oh, there are doctors. Janil is a doctor. Yeah. Vivian was there. In fact, in our cabinet, we probably have the most number of doctors in a cabinet compared to many other countries. Yeah. And the strength of this cabinet is not whether you are on the MTF or not. Every week you have cabinet meeting. Every other moment where you need help, you can always call on one another to support you. So you look at the number of doctors that we have. You have Dr. Janil, you have Dr. Vivian, you have Dr. Ng Eng Hen, Dr. Koh Poh Kun. So you have quite a number of doctors in different areas.
At that time, there is this challenge of idea. You have information from overseas, and they were saying, don't do this, close all the border, but somehow we are not doing so. So there is this challenge of idea, and people will start to doubt you because anyone that came out to speak does not have a doctor background. Kind of seems to be a bit weak in.
But it's not just about the minister, you see. Of course, within the ministers, you have people from private sector, you have people from previously from government, you have people who doctors, lawyers, and it's very important that have this diverse perspective. But there's something that is even more important, that within the MTF, it's not just the ministers making the decisions, it's a whole team of huge number of people behind making the decisions and providing the information. In the whole MOH, you have people, doctors who are specialized in infectious disease, people who are in public health. You have people who, in ICA, who knows the intricacies of how to close borders, how to manage the numbers across the borders. You have people from the economic agencies that have their different considerations about how to keep Singaporeans open, keep Singapore open so that our lifelines and our livelihoods are minimally affected. So you have all these contesting ideas, and at the end of the day, you need to come together as a team and make that collective decision. And there will be give and take, there will be different trade-offs, because you can't just consider one factor and let that one factor drives all the decision, right? So you always find that balancing mechanism. And you are right, it's not always that when the decision comes to it that it's so straightforward that we'll all do this. Otherwise, all the MTF meeting will not be necessary. In fact, there's a lot of debate. And because you are working under conditions of uncertainty, because the disease is also not a known disease, as if the virus is also not changing. In fact, you are racing with the virus to see how fast the virus mutate versus how fast you adapt your policies, right? Sometimes you beat the virus, sometimes the virus beat you, but like we say, it's like a war and not just a few battles. And you have to make sure that when you are up, you don't get complacent. When you are down, you don't get discouraged. And you just have to keep trying, and then after 2 to 3 years, hopefully we emerge okay.
Okay, and with that, we will wrap up this segment because we want to go to the final segment for Straight Talk, which is, so these are like a series of personal questions that we want to ask you. My first question is, okay, there's A and B, okay? A is, do you have like real friends in the parliament?
Of course.
Okay. Who is that one person, like really ride or die? Like you really get very close. For example, you are in your office. Okay, you've read it. Okay, you read the comment in social media. Wow, irritating. You cannot keep on picking on me. Okay, really like on the verge of giving up. Like, wow, I do all this for my country, and yet I still get this kind of rubbish treatment. Who is that one person you would call and say, hey, can you like
someone to talk to?
give me words of encouragement?
Of course, you call your wife first lah.
Okay, after that.
Okay, Parliament lunch break.
Yeah,
Okay, then you have to invite 3 friends for lunch,
right.
but they have to be ministers.
Uh-huh.
Who are they?
You know that if you invite these 3, right, you have a good lunch. Like, wow, you really can talk and
We don't need to invite people for lunch. We just sit down, whoever is around there, we just talk.
Okay, give up.
You no, you all may not understand. In Parliament, there's this thing called members' room, right? So you go down there for your makan, go down there for your break, right? So you don't like, hey, later I go out down there. Not like that, just go down there and sit with any of the MPs. And
that's a canteen.
But
not canteen, there are some food, like some snacks down there. Because otherwise, you sit inside Parliament for too long, can kena cram, right?
Hey, sorry. So when you go to this space where you all
Members'
eat,
room.
members' room,
Yeah.
you interact with the members of opposition as well.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, so
They
eat
sit there
and talk
yeah,
lah.
correct. They're also human beings, right?
I thought you want to carry on.
No, I
Imagine
thought
you go
like-
into this room, who you sitting next to?
No, whoever is there.
And
we
who
just
do
sit
you
down.
find at the buffet counter? You know?
No, seriously, whoever, our general rule is that whoever is available, just sit down there. lah.
Hey, but okay, sorry. I mean, this is like a slightly serious question. You can choose to answer. When you guys have a different thought process or have some friction,
Right.
right? Does it carry on into like personal exchanges?
No lah, cannot be so, how is so petty, right? No, differences of view you will always have one, right? That's why I say you must always stay focused on the long-term goals that we must share. You can have a diversity of ideas, but you cannot have a diversity of purpose, right? So long as the purpose is the same, then it's just a question of how do we solve the problem better. And at the end of the day, once the decision is made, then everybody make sure that you execute well. So you see, we always say this, no? A simple plan, well executed together, is better than a complicated plan, not well executed and not done together.
Any best friend from the opposition camp?
No, I talked to them. I even last time
Best one.
Last time I talked to Loh Tia Kiang.
Most can talk.
Yeah, because I remember this famous photo that I always see, and I want to always, if I have a chance, talk to speaker about it. He and
Tia Kiang.
ate bak kut teh together. I thought it was a very
We
heartwarming.
are,
Very nice
we are
picture.
all fellow Singaporeans, right?
Would you be okay if it comes to a point one day where the PAP is not the incumbent anymore, right? So now the opposition party is the one leading. Would you be okay to work hand in hand in that situation?
First of all, I must declare, you never make the assumption that the PAP is around forever.
Yeah.
But you hope and you try your best that whoever replaces the PAP is a better party with better people that can take care of the country and the people better. You cannot just say, oh, I'm the opposition, I have no responsibility, I just say whatever I want to say. Anyway, I just fly some trial balloons and see what people like to hear. You cannot like that. It's not responsible because the PAP once upon a time was in opposition as well. So you cannot do that just because you say, you cannot have different standards and say that, oh, because you're opposition or you're PAP, I judge you by different standards. Who knows? One of these days, like you say, the thing might flip. And that's why I think we need to hold all parliamentarians to the same standards of how they think, how they act in the interest of Singapore and Singapore.
What did you stand for? Okay.
I think this point is important. I mean, during all the election, you see people voting just because they have this very strong confidence that PAP sure win one nah. I vote opposition, so that they can have some competition, or they can have see variety of politicians in the parliament, people to voice up for them per se.
My answer to that is that at the end of the day, these people represent us, fellow citizens in parliament, right? We want the best people to represent us and to represent the country. Because you see, just now you all make comments about other people's parliament, right? Surely you don't want other people to make comments about our parliament, right? Like, your people also like that one. Your leaders also like that. Then we all a bit malu, right? So we want people whom we can be proud of because they are honest, they do real hard work to serve the people and the country, and not pretend to say that, hey, I'm not here, I'm not responsible, I'm here to just check on you to see whether you are doing the work. Actually, all of us have to do our work to take care of our people and to take care of the country. And I don't think the opposition has any less responsibility than PAP members. But if any opposition that come and say that, oh, I'm not here to do work, I'm just here to check whether they do work, then I think we have to ask the question, then if everybody's checking on everybody, then who is doing
Who's
the
the one
work?
executing it?
So what are the usual activities you do with your family, other than going to Thomson Plaza?
A typical day, in the morning, you send off the children to school. Then after that, you go to office or you go to visit the schools and start work. Then it's a whole full day program. Either you have meetings to discuss ideas, policies, you meet people to get feedback, you meet your constituents and see whether they are all right or not. Sometimes you have to do your duties to host foreign dignitaries. Sometimes you have to work with foreign parties to make sure that you can advance Singapore's interests. Then of course you have some time, must remember to exercise. Keep yourself fit and healthy.
So do you give the school notice before you go there?
Generally, I do, but I have
important,
also gone to a school with a minimum
Surprise,
notice. Not, you see, I don't go to a school to check on them because if they need me to go and spot check on them, something is wrong, right? So my purpose of visiting the school is to encourage them and see where I can help them to do their work better.
Do you have time to like unwind and watch a television program or a series?
I'm not the type who watch drama kind because I don't have this hobby or habit of watching drama. My own quiet time, I usually go and exercise. Either I run, I cycle. But because usually it's in the middle of the night because you go back, it's late already, you spend time with your family and your kids. So after the kids go to sleep, then you go and catch up on your exercise and do what you want to do to keep yourself fit and healthy.
Okay, last question now. We all know that you live a very down-to-earth lifestyle, okay, but as we all know, politicians, okay, this is very subjective, plus minus, very famous for getting a high pay. So, what do you do? I feel like it's such an intrusive question, but I'm just going to ask it. What do you do with your savings?
Very simple. I have a special needs child. I think next time when me and my wife is not around, we are not around, we want to make sure that he's provided for. So we do save up a bit more because I think his needs will be different from my other children who are normal. Of course, I'm quite sure that my children will also help to take care of him, but I hope that while they take care of him, they also have to take care of their families in future. So it's only right that we do our part to save up for him.
What is the one thing that you find yourself like, well, I don't mind splurging on this? What do you splurge?
No.
Casio watch.
Casio watch, you don't need to splurge. This one is $20.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed. That your watch is very like...
I thought fake one. You really got
How long have you owned this?
This one? No, I've always worn this ever since my school days.
The same one?
Of course not the same one because the battery die, right? There's sometimes the strap.
Okay.
You can change the strap once in a while if it breaks, right?
What is the one thing that you will splurge on?
Go and buy myself an avocado milkshake.
From
Which
Bukit
I've never tasted in
Merah.
my life, by the way.
Is it from the ABC market?
That one is quite famous.
Yeah.
But that one a bit further away from my house. So.
Okay.
Okay, and with that, we come to the end of this episode of Straight Talk. So, who would like to see next? Any suggestions? Any of your close friends that you want to sabu and I'll get them to be on the show?
Oh, can.
Can. Say, we will make it happen.
Yes.
Dr. Maliki. Dr. Maliki quite fun.
Okay.
What should we talk about with him?
You ask him? Yes.
Okay.
Dr. Maliki,
Okay.
please keep your schedule ready. Yeah? We're gonna contact you soon. And thank you so much. Okay, we hope that you catch us when the episode is out. And thank you so much, Minister Chan Chun Sing, for taking the time off to
Thank you so
answer
much.
our questions and.
Sharing so much about
Yeah.
the behind the scenes. I really
Yes.
enjoyed it.
Correct. Yeah, and I think it's really astounding how you really make that shift between the different departments and you really get into it. I think that for me is the most challenging thing because if you were to ask me to do something entirely different in my career, I'd be like, cannot lah. Maybe that's the reason why I'm not a political leader lah. Huh? All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.